You can't continue working from home because you go idle in chat too often. As part of the plan to return to office post-COVID, my company has done a lot of redesignating of who can permanently work from home, who can hybrid, etc. I really wanted to work from home full-time. I hate the office with a burning passion. It's distracting. It's a long commute. There's no benefit to being there, so on and so forth. I'd just rather be at home. Well, when we thought May was going to be go back to office time, they started giving out the new designations. I got designated as in office full-time. It made no sense to me. I work on a team of 8 people and each of us is in a different office somewhere in the country. I've literally never been to an in-person meeting or needed to do in-person work in 3 years at this company. Every single other person on my team got designated to work from home, so I brought it up with my boss and asked to work from home. When I started at this company and lived elsewhere, I got to work from home for 4 months before I moved, and the past 14 months during COVID have been at home. So 18/36 months at the company have been WFH. What I was told is that I go idle too often in chat to trust to work from home. Basically, we have a company-wide IM system that shows you as available, idle, or in a meeting. If you don't touch your keyboard for 5 minutes, you show as idle. So they've decided to use this as a measure for who is working and who isn't. The thing is, like many people in many types of jobs, I don't have shit to do for a full 8 hours every single day. The amount of work I have to do on a typical day takes 5 hours of actual attention. There simply isn't something to do all the time. My performance numbers actually went up working from home. By all objective KPI numbers, I'm a better worker at home. In fact, in the KPIs that I don't flat out lead the team in, I come in second. There isn't work to do that I'm neglecting or procrastinating. When something comes up, I simply do it until it's done, or until I can't do any more, due to waiting on someone else, then stop. And I've done that method long enough that my work queue stays empty, because I work to get my queue down to the point where when something comes up, I can immediately address it and be done with it. But because I have other ways to spend my time in downtime instead of messing around online at my cube pretending to be working, meaning I show idle more often, I'm a worse worker apparently. I was told if it weren't for that, they would let me work at home. So I wrote a 6-line PowerShell script that virtually inputs the period key every 4 minutes, that starts running every day at 8 a.m. and stops at 5 p.m. So now I literally never go idle. I do the same amount of work and still read books, watch TV, and play video games on the side. But I have a shiny green check next to my name all day. Because of COVID complications, they eventually said no, going back until after Labor Day. I just had a meeting with my boss, and he said, over this time they've noticed I go idle a lot less than I used to. So they're changing my designation to work from home, all because of a little icon in some software. This concludes my TED Talk on why low to middle level managers are the dumbest, most useless, do-nothing positions in all of corporate America. Story 2. You want me to work 9? 5? Got it. I work on a case with people from many different areas. Most of the people on the case work in a time zone that's 3 hours ahead of mine. This means that I am often on meetings or depositions that start at around 7 a.m. or earlier. A couple of weeks ago, I attended several days of a deposition, starting at 5:30 for me each day. Those days, I left the office at around 3 o'clock. My manager then called me into her office and demanded to know why I was leaving early every day. I told her about the situation, but she did not care. She said, "This is a 9-5 job. It doesn't matter if you're in earlier, you leave at 5 o'clock. Otherwise, people will think it's okay to come in and leave whenever they want." Well, 9-5 it is. I started arriving in the office promptly at 9. This unfortunately led to me skipping several meetings, but alas, it cannot be helped. One meeting I skipped, scheduled for 6 a.m., is an important bi-weekly one that my manager is also supposed to attend. She's never attended and always relies on me preparing her a report on the meeting so she can present it to her boss. When she asked for the report, I informed her that I was unable to attend the meeting since I work a 9-5 job and I don't want to give anyone the wrong impression. No report, sorry. As I left promptly at 5, I peeked through the window to her office and got a great view of her trying to explain herself to her boss. Today, she called me and dejectedly informed me that I can leave the office whenever I want from now on. Story 3. Buy a new one or go home. I used to work at Sonic as a car hop. I usually worked 4/5 to close. One day I was cleaning up all the drinks the day shift left around, and I found a can of Monster. I grabbed it and walked around and asked everybody who was working. The manager, Robert, like normal, was talking to his girlfriend on the phone, assuming based off all the sex talk. When I asked if it was his, he looked right at me, shook his head, and turned away without saying anything. After I finished asking everybody else, I dumped it out and threw it away. 45 minutes later, he comes up front and went to throw away his trash and seen it in the trash. He was livid, started screaming, grabbed it out of the trash, and started shoving it in people's face, asking if they threw it away. I told him they didn't. I did. He cornered me against the wall and screamed in my face that I was going to leave and go buy him a new one. 2 things. The Monster was probably half full, if that. And I hate being yelled at. And I asked him. We got into this huge fight about it, him demanding I replace it, me telling him to F*** off. This went on for 2 hours. It was slow because it was winter, so he sent everybody else home. He was cooking. Finally, he told me I was either going to go buy a new one or I was going to go home. It was 7 at this point. We closed at midnight. I grabbed my stuff and went and clocked out. He said if I didn't go get him a new drink, I was fired. I said, okay, see you never. Not even 5 minutes after I left, the GM, Jeremy, called me asking why I left. So I told him what happened. He said the other manager can't fire me as only the GM can, and asked me to go back and finish the shift. I told him that I couldn't do that with Robert yelling in my face like that I'd go back tomorrow. So Robert was kicked the rest of the night. Nobody else, not even Jeremy, would come in. He had to cook and run orders for 5 hours by himself. Pissed a lot of customers off. And when I went in the next night, he asked why I was back since he fired me, and it was a joy to tell him he couldn't do that. He held a grudge for 3 whole months. Story 4. Can't work from home? Alrighty then. I work for a company in a huge building in the UK, like 25-floor skyscraper. Within that building, 3 floors are taken up by one office management company. Within one of those floors is the office of the company I work for. Around 6 months ago, I, among many others, campaigned to be able to work from home 1 day per month. This was to aid flexibility in the role, generally help morale in the office, and allow for people to escape the horrendous micromanaging in the office. Of course, owing to the aforementioned micromanaging, senior management decided this was an awful idea. After all, employees are basically children, right? You allow them to work from home 1 day and they'll forget how to work and never get the job done. An email was circulated around all employees stating something along the lines of, "Dear slaves, it has been brought to our attention that a certain percentage of employees are attempting to work from home. Our policy does not allow this. All work must be completed in the office." Fast forward a couple months. Remember I mentioned the office management company within our building? Well, they stopped paying their rent, which means the building owners shut off all access to the building for the office management company and its subsidiaries, including our company. Cue me turning up to work only to find the whole company outside. OM = office manager. Me = well, me. OM, looks like the management company hasn't paid their rent, so we aren't allowed into the office. Me, oh, that sucks. Okay, call me when we get a new office or let back in.
No, you need to go home and work from there. You can send me your logs and emails from there. Me, sorry, don't think so. Reminds her of emails, so I'll be at home until you find a new office. And that is how I got a week's holiday for free. When I got back, I had an email from senior management addressed to all. Dear slaves, from now on, company policy is to allow employees to work from home at the sole discretion of their line manager. Discretion has yet to be found.